Hey folks, welcome to Bear Mountain. Today we're planting our first succession of glads, and we just kind of wanted to say here we're in zone 8B, again about 60 miles, maybe 70 miles from the Pacific Ocean, and we're just starting to come into summertime at this point. Now this is the same bed that we used last year for planting our glads, and we did a video about digging them and putting them away for storage. Well, this year we're going to kind of save those guys for the second rotation, which is going to be in about 2 to 3 weeks. So this rotation is going to be some new ones we bought. We have Prince of Orange, a Violet King it's called, which is just kind of a nice good sized lavender. And then we also have another peach one, whose variety is?
Benvenuto.
Benvenuto?
Yes.
Okay, and so, well, these boxes are about 4 foot wide and about 12 foot long. So what we can do is we can actually plant these guys pretty intense. And so we'll probably get about 125-ish or so glads in here. And by using these hoop systems that we have here, we can put a net on them so it'll keep them nice and straight from flopping over.
We can also put a net over the top of them.
In the short term, yeah.
To protect them from deer.
Yeah, deer in the, they don't tend to bother them when they're in the frond stage, but when they start putting up that flower spike, that's kind of when we end up with some troubles. And so this will be the first rotation, so we'll be able to do 3 rotations coming into this summer. So we're going to do half of the varieties we just talked about. We'll do, because we have enough to do 2 boxes, and we'll do 1 box of that, plus then we'll do the box of our general mix that we raised last year. So today being June 3rd,
Ish.
we're a little bit behind, maybe by a week on our first rotation, but we'll do our second rotation right around sometime around the 20th of June, and then the last rotation will be right around the 4th. So that for us, these guys take about 75 to 90 days depending on temperature and stuff like that. So what we'll be looking at is we're getting our first harvest on this box right around the end of July-ish, in that time frame. Maybe a little later, maybe like middle of August.
Right.
About 75 days.
So I'm hoping for like late August, first part of September, late September, and then October.
Okay, so if we look at it from the standpoint of our history has taught us that the first rotation comes on, doesn't take as long.
The last one
But the last one takes longer because,
but those are really nice for October arrangements and.
Right. So as long as we don't freeze,
right,
we make it.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives us
We're
nice.
Just running late. The first ones should have been done. This group should have been done about 3 weeks ago. The plan, but it was just too wet. And as you can see.
Well, was it too wet? We really don't know.
Well, that's my point. That's every indication tells us do it now because hey, we got some strays that sent up the green frond.
So there's 2 ways that we can plant these, and we're not going to lay these things out in any kind of fancy grid or anything. They're just going to be basic straight rows, about 6 inches apart between the plants, maybe a little less, but 6 inches between the rows. And so we'll be able to get like at least 10 good rows across the box, and that should give us easy 125 plus, depending on you kind of sometimes have to adjust it based on depending on the size of the corm. I mean, our corms are going to range from about this big to about this big, so I mean they could be 1.5 inches to almost 2.5 inches.
Ours that we saved are really big.
Yeah, they're pretty good size. So that's kind of it. And then we'll, if they're small enough, I'll use the dibble stick to make the hole. But if not, it's kind of ends up being like I'm going to have to do some bending over work and get them in. And then once we've got these guys actually in the ground, then we'll come back through and we'll put a 1/2 inch of urban compost over the top. and lay our drip irrigation lines down. And from that point forward, these guys, you know, wet them in good at the planting time, and from that point forward, they're really pretty maintenance free in a sense.
The only thing you have to watch for is make sure they're going through the net. The net's nice and tight so that you don't get any leaners and that kind.
Yeah. Well, they'll start putting flower spikes up, what, probably late July?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay.
It's pretty cool right now, so who knows?
So yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of lay these guys out. Now these guys already started to show kind of some roots coming out, and I think that was a storage problem in our end. We had too much moisture, and so it looks to me like probably the smart thing to do would be plant most of these guys now. Otherwise, I don't think that we can get away with letting these guys go. So basically, you know, you can see what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay them out, and I'll come back through with my hori knife and just dig them in. So let's get to it. Well, folks, we got it done. It took about 45 minutes or so to lay the guys out and get them actually planted in. We used the hori knife instead of the dibble stick, simply because actually what we had was kind of a bigger bulb than I anticipated. And but that wasn't that big of a deal. We got it in. We put at least a ½ inch urban waste compost. This is pretty well rotted stuff that we got last fall, and laid out the drip lines. So the only thing left to do is we'll just wet it in real good and you know, let nature take its course.
Actually, I think it's gonna rain, so.
Yeah, probably not gonna rain as much as it need to get them really settled in, because I really want to make sure that the dirt is settled in around. So we're giving them a good flood to get them started. So this is box 1. And then we've got 2 more to go.
Yep.
And rotate them on about a 2-week-ish kind of cycle. And that's all there is to it. And you get a lot of really good glads. We'll put the net up once these guys start to get to a point where they start to show a spike beginning to develop. Then we'll put the net out and allow them to grow through that. What do you, any thoughts?
Nope.
Nope.
Glad they're in.
Yep. Phase 1.
Phase 1.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us today. And as always, folks, stay safe out there, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.